In 3 months, I lost 15 pounds of fat whilst I gained strength and muscle. And I didn't even have to starve myself. I got to eat as much as I wanted to. I'm gonna show you how I got to this point, and I'm gonna get you there way faster than I did. But just giving you a little quick disclaimer that the shit I'm about to tell you in this video is not gonna be like mainstream fitness advice, like, oh, calories in, calories out. Just eat if it fits your macros. Like, nah, like I'm gonna tell you the real fucking science, the easiest and most efficient way to actually build muscle and to actually lose fat. I'm gonna give you a step-by-step actual method that will fucking build you muscle so much faster. It will transform your body that it literally feels like a cheat code. It literally feels like it's illegal. So to get to this end goal, all we have to do is follow something called the Primal method. Now, the Primal method is a method that has been proven to work for millions of years. It's literally the most simple diet on earth. It's just high fatty cuts of meat, eggs, cheese, basically no carbs. It's produced the most dominant warriors, the most dominant empires in all of history. Genghis Khan's empire. These fuckers conquered 12 million square miles, and they could literally fight for days on end without eating. It's the method that made our hunter-gatherer ancestors stronger, taller, smarter than we are today. Their brains were literally fucking bigger. You're gonna have such an advantage over everyone just doing, oh, calories in, calories out. Like, nah, you're gonna be actually using real science. So in 4 sections, I'm gonna cover why this diet is the most efficient for losing fat, building muscle, energy, gym performance, everything. In step 1, we'll cover how this diet fixes your hormones and puts you in a permanent fat burning state and permanent muscle building state. In step 2, I'm gonna show you how this diet doesn't miss a single nutrient and delivers all the nutrients that you need in the right amount. So no more vitamin deficiencies, no more not building muscle because your body isn't fueled right, like not. And in the 3rd step, I'm gonna show you how you can unlock unlimited energy through ketosis. And in the 4th step, I'm gonna break down an entire full meal plan for you with action steps and common pitfalls to avoid when people first get on this diet to ensure that you have the most amount of success. You have a 100% chance of succeeding. Okay, so let's move on to the 1st step. So people get on this diet and they literally lose fat, like they just melt the fat away. They lose dozens and dozens of pounds. And to first understand this, we need to break down what is really wrong with most diets, why most diets don't work, especially high carb diets, which is probably what you're eating. So we have to start off with how food affects our hormones. And carbs have a lot of effects on our hormones, carbs and sugar. So what happens when you eat them? When you eat carbs and sugar, you spike your hormone called insulin. And insulin is your fat storing hormone. So basically, insulin puts your body into like fat storing mode. And we have another hormone called leptin. And leptin is our satiety hormone. This hormone just like tells us when we should stop eating, when we're full, right? The thing is that insulin blocks leptin. So leptin gets blocked and then we don't know when to stop eating. So we're more likely to overeat, right? And the best example of this is like, you eat like a full meal, right? And then they bring out dessert, right? They bring out the cake, they bring out the ice cream, and you eat that shit, and then you feel like weirdly like not full, right? Like I'm sure you've experienced that. Like you just feel this weird sensation of like you could still eat more, and that's your leptin signaling being blocked. And so sugar and carbs, the last major effect is that they're gonna spike your blood sugar, and when your blood sugar spikes, insulin rises to bring it back down. But once your blood sugar comes back down, it drops below its baseline level. And when it drops below its baseline level, that's when you feel lethargic. That's when you feel tired. That's when you feel like you need to eat more for energy, right? You have to constantly keep eating for energy. And let me tell you, when you cut the carbs, that shit completely goes away. There's no more like bogging down. You're 100% basically all day. Like you can just run off of your fat stores, right? You can just run off of your fat. And just to take an example of this, there was this guy, his name was Alex McDonald. And Alex McDonald, this guy wasn't even a runner, but he ran 5 marathons in 5 days fasted, completely fasted. He wasn't even a runner, but he had access to his fat stores. He didn't need food for energy. Okay, so here's how we're gonna fix all these problems with the Primal method, and this is why the Primal method works. Now that we're not consuming carbs and sugar anymore, there's no more insulin spikes. So, meat, eggs, cheese, all these foods, they don't spike, they have zero effect to our insulin at all. And so what does this do to our body? Well, what this does is it puts our body into fat burning mode instead of fat storing. So now we're always burning the fat, right? We're always burning the fat. And that's what people can lose the fat so much easier than someone on like a, a high carb diet, is because of that massive effect to their hormone that's just not into play anymore, right? So once we cut the carbs, our body starts to run off of our own fat stores as energy. And that's the real game changer, because your fat stores, you have so much energy in your fat stores. But I'm going to cover that more in depth later on in this video. And the next thing that happens is that the food becomes extremely satiating, right? So meat and eggs, like you know this, right? You can eat like a piece of steak, right? And you'll be so nicely satiated. You'll be so full, right? Like you won't need anything else. And that's the beautiful thing, is because leptin isn't being blocked anymore because the insulin is being spiked. So now our hunger hormones are working properly. The body is going to tell us exactly how much we need to be eating. And so now that our hormones are working properly, this means that we don't have to track our calories anymore. And so I just want to give you like a little example. So like, let's say like you have more body fat in your body, right? And you get onto this diet. So what's going to happen is your body's going to start to use your own fat as energy, and it's going to tell you. So let's say like you may be doing some cardio, you're in the gym. It's going to tell you to eat a little bit less, right? Because now it has this energy. It can use this energy. Finally, now it can use your fat stores, and it can start to burn that off so much more efficiently. So you might find that once you get on the diet, you're eating less than you typically thought you would, right? And let's say you're like a skinny guy, you're in the gym, you're trying to bulk up, right? You're trying to gain muscle. If you're going to the gym and you're doing cardio, you're doing all these good things, then your body is gonna need more energy to like build muscle in your body. So it's gonna tell you to eat more food, right? You need more food, especially from the cardio, right? Cardio is gonna really increase your appetite. But if you're sending your body the right signals, it will tell you exactly how much to eat. And I'm gonna just give you one more example just to really make this stick in your brain. So just think about most animals in the wild. How do most animals in the wild eat, right? They eat their species appropriate diet. They know what to eat. They know how much to eat, and they know when to stop eating, right? Like, show me one example of any fat fucking animal you've ever seen in your life, except for like a bear in hibernation. Like, there's no fat animals in the wild, because every animal is literally healthy, bro. And humans are animals. Humans should be healthy too, right? You shouldn't see all these like morbidly obese people that exist in the world, because people are just eating the wrong foods that are literally destroying their bodies. Like, you should be lean, aesthetic, you should be healthy. So congratulations, because if you're still watching this far in the video, you're now going to be eating your species appropriate diet. You're just going to be eating exactly what you were designed to eat, right? No more tracking calories, no more trying to figure out your macros. Like, nah, your body's going to tell you exactly how much food you need to be eating, right? All right, let's move on to section 2. Let's cover how meat is going to deliver all the nutrients that you need for muscle growth, for fat loss. It's going to deliver all the nutrients you need for health. So most of our lives, me too, right? Pretty much everyone, we've all been brainwashed by big pharma, basically big food, to think that meat and eggs are bad for us. They're going to cause heart disease. They're not good. But meat and eggs are literally superfoods. Just look at the amount of nutrients that are inside of this ribeye steak, inside of a steak. It has every single nutrient that you need, all the amino acids, all the creatine, phosphorus, zinc, all of the essential vitamins and nutrients that you need to function as a human, for your brain health, right? And eggs as well, right? Look at this list of nutrients in eggs. And let's just think about this for a second. So an egg literally has all of the nutrients needed for human life. So, if we just let the egg fertilize, it will turn into a chicken, right? But we don't, and we just eat the egg. So we're literally eating a food that has the nutrients needed for fucking life. And people are going to say like, oh no, you shouldn't eat too many eggs. Bro, I eat like 300 eggs a month. Keep in mind that everything I just talked about is broken down in even more detail in my aesthetic body program. So if you want personal help from me, personal accountability to streamline your fitness journey and make you guaranteed to succeed, then click the link in the description below. And obviously this limiting belief is going to come up, like, oh, but eggs and meat, it's going to raise my cholesterol, right? And cholesterol is going to lead to heart disease. Well, you've been brainwashed about cholesterol. The truth is that you've been fucking brainwashed. So if you trace the origins of cholesterol becoming the bad guy, you can do this. It's in the public literature. What you'll realize is that we were fucking psyoped by big food. So back in the 60s, every chronic disease in America would start to skyrocket. And, big food, big pharma, they saw this, right? And they needed to point the blame at something, right? Or else they were going to lose the profits in their business. So what they did was pay off a number of highly qualified Harvard scientists to falsify studies, to falsify conclusions, to prove that cholesterol was the cause of heart disease, not sugar. So this myth just became fact. And despite all the new evidence, all the new studies we have coming out, most people in America still believe that, yep, cholesterol is the cause of heart disease, and you probably do too. We have studies showing that 75% of the people who died from heart disease had cholesterol in the recommended amounts. So if all these people are dying with safe cholesterol levels, then you can't say it's causative of heart disease. You can't even say there's an association. That's literally a weak association. Now, let's actually understand why cholesterol is good for us and what it does in the body. So your body makes 80% of its cholesterol on its own, right? Why would your body be making so much of this stuff if it was harmful to us? You literally would die without cholesterol. 50% of your cell membrane is made of cholesterol. All of your hormones are built from cholesterol. And if you don't have cholesterol, you can't produce testosterone. And obviously, as men, we need testosterone. And you've also probably heard that, oh, vitamin D is good for you, get sunlight. Well, vitamin D is made from cholesterol. So now that we kind of have a better understanding of cholesterol, what is the real cause of heart disease? Let's walk through this step by step. So you eat refined carbs, sugar, and seed oil. This causes your blood sugar to spike and insulin goes up. Over time, this causes chronic inflammation. That inflammation damages the inner wall of your artery called the endothelium. Just imagine like scratching the inside of a water pipe. Your body responds by sending LDL cholesterol to repair the damage, like firefighters showing up to patch holes inside of a burning building, right? Because LDL delivers fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. So they come there to fix the hole. But the problem is these firefighters, these LDL, are working in a hazardous environment because you're still eating sugar, seed oils, and carbs. Now, two things happen to the LDL. The first is glycation. So what that means is your blood is full of sugar. And some of those sugar molecules stick to the LDL particles. So that is essentially glycation. It's like coating your firefighter in like sticky glue or sticky, syrup. Now this basically means that they can't function properly anymore, and that means that they linger longer in the bloodstream. The next thing that happens is oxidation. So at the same time, sugar, stress, and seed oils bring free radicals into your bloodstream, and these free radicals attack the already glycated LDL. This turns LDL into oxidized LDL, which is highly reactive, inflamed, and dangerous. So oxidized LDL is small density SDLDL. It's small density LDL, right? We have many, many, many different sizes of LDL particles, right? But these little guys, these are the ones that can be manipulated and act in a way they're not meant to. Now, because they're smaller, they can slip into the cracks of the already damaged artery wall. And since they're denser and stickier, they can't escape, they can't get out. And because they're now chemically altered, our immune system shows up in response to this. Just think about it like this. So you sent firefighters, your body sent firefighters to come and put out the fire that's currently in your body, right? Your artery wall is on fire, it's getting damaged. Your body sent LDL to repair that. But you coated your firefighters in stirrup and fucking gasoline. And so now they're just stuck inside of the burning building. There's nothing they can do. They can't get out. Now, what happens next is your immune system sends macrophages, which are basically white blood cells. It's like the next, helicopter rescue recovery team, right? They send another team to go and remove the oxidized LDL from the artery wall. And so what happens is they engulf these oxidized LDL particles, and what happens is they turn into foam cells. And this is the plaque that you see, the foam cell buildup, right? The foam cells start to build up and they build up and they build up. So that the plaque that people talk about, it's not just cholesterol, it's a mixture of all these different things. So basically all you need to understand from this is that cholesterol didn't cause the fire. It tried to show up to put it out. And so yes, I have high cholesterol. I on purpose have high cholesterol. But the thing is that we need to focus on what kind of cholesterol, the pattern of cholesterol, right? Because like I mentioned earlier, our LDL can have many different sizes. So my LDL they're large and they're fluffy. They're dangerous. They don't get stuck in the artery wall, right? But what matters is the context of the scenario, of the scene, right? What's going on? Is there inflammation? No, there's no inflammation. There's no insulin resistance, right? Because we're never spiking our insulin. So the working environment is safe, and our LDL works properly. All right, now let's move on to the third section where you're gonna unlock unlimited energy once you get in ketosis. So once you get in ketosis, what happens is your liver starts to produce ketones, and your body starts to run off of these ketones as its new energy source. And once you become fat adapted, right? Like you've been on the diet for not just a week or two, but It takes more around like 1 to 3 months. Everyone's fat adaptation is a bit different. But once you get fat adapted, that's when your body starts to produce more mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of your cell. And these powerhouses, they start to become better with less effort. They become more efficient. And just to prove this point to you, I'm going to mention a study where they compared fat adapted athletes and carb adapted athletes. And these are like top tier, like sprinting athletes. And what they did was they repeated 400-meter sprints. They kept on doing them. And what they saw was the fat adapted athletes outperformed them, and they outperformed them for longer, right? So what we see from this study is that, we're talking sprinting, which is the most high intensity exercise that you can basically ever do. And they were outperformed by the fat adapted athletes. So that myth that, oh, you need carbs for high performance activity, that study basically just disproves. And like I mentioned earlier, now we're running off of our fat stores. We're running off of the fat inside of our bodies. So what you need to understand is that in your fat stores, you have over 100,000 calories of energy. 100,000 calories. That's so much energy. Instead of like when you're running off of like your carbs, your glycogen tank, that's about 3,000 calories. So that's an insane difference, right? That's why you have to constantly keep eating when you run out of energy, because you just run out, you burn off all your glucose, right? So you have to keep eating to refill that tank. But you don't have to do that anymore once you enter ketosis, because now you have access to your fat stores inside of your body, and that is literally unlimited energy. So that means you won't be bogged down anymore. You will have just unlimited energy. And so just think about it. Just think about why most people are morbidly obese is because it's so ironic. They have so much like a crazy amount of energy in their fat stores, right? Like they should not need to be eating as much as they do, but they're getting like tricked by their body to just keep on eating, right? But they could, if they were running off of their fat stores, they would probably not be eating at all, because they would be using their fat stores, right? So we just have it all wrong. Okay, now let's move on to the next section. I'm going to break down a full meal plan, give you action steps and common pitfalls that you want to avoid once you get on the diet. So meal one is going to be 8 eggs plus 3 tablespoons of butter. This is going to come out to 860 calories, 48 grams of protein, and 73 grams of fat. And with the eggs I buy and the butter that I buy, this comes out to $3.51. So it's extremely affordable, and it's just an amazing breakfast, right? You're getting a ton of nutrients, getting everything that you need. It will make you will feel so much lighter and stuff. And I typically like eat this after the gym. I like to work out fasted because you just perform a little bit better, but you can just do whatever works for you. So for meal two, I'll have 6 chicken thighs. And this comes out to 1,500 calories, 114 grams of protein, and 114 grams of fat. And the cost, if you buy a really big packet, it comes down to $5.22. Now, I can already know that like you're starting to form a limiting belief, like, oh, like, just only eating meat and eggs all the time, like that's gonna be like so hard to do. But let me tell you, like, the reason why is I've been on it for like 6 months now. I've been doing this, and it just becomes so easy because you start to feel so good, right? And once you understand, like with everything I've told you in this video, like basically every other kind of food is not healthy for you. Like even vegetables and fruit, like they have a long list of anti-nutrients, plant toxins in them that basically bind to other nutrients and prevent the absorption of them. This is a side point, but it's really important that you know this. So we want to be avoiding these defense chemicals, these defense compounds, because it lowers the bioavailability, the rate of absorption of the nutrients that we get. And yeah, they can lead to inflammation, they can lead to bloating. So we just want to avoid them. And for the last meal, I'll have a pound of ground beef and 4 eggs. This is going to come out to 1,432 calories, 101 grams of protein, and 110 grams of fat. And the cost of this meal is about $6.14 if you buy the like 7327 ground beef. It's usually like this really big tub of ground beef, and it's like much cheaper. Basically, the fattier cuts are way cheaper. And with my workload, like, because I run a lot of miles, like run a couple miles, 2 to 3 miles a day, going to the gym and stuff, walking around a lot. With my workload, I usually can eat around this much, but sometimes it's a bit less, and it's not very often it's a bit more, but most of the time it's around this amount. So like I mentioned earlier, we don't really need to focus on tracking our calories too much, because our hunger hormone is going to tell us how much our body needs to eat. And so this brings me on to the action steps and common pitfalls to avoid. So when you're doing all this, the major thing is that all you have to worry about is eat when it's eat whenever you're hungry and eat whenever the meat stops tasting good. Stop whenever it stops tasting good. That's all you have to do. When the meat tastes like cardboard, that means it's time to stop eating it. And if you can just simply follow that, you'll be eating exactly how much you're meant to be eating, right? Because, let's say if you're skinny and you're trying to bulk up and you force feed yourself, that's actually not a good thing because you're giving your body too much that it, you're giving your body way too much that it actually needs, right, for muscle growth. Because like weight is really just like it's kind of a useless metric. Like we're trying to build muscle here, right? We're not trying to get fat. We're trying to build muscle. And so yeah, you don't have to follow the meal plan that I laid out in this video. You can eat whatever kind of meat that you want. I would just recommend go for the fattier cuts of meat, right? Because we use the fat as energy. So, chicken thighs, lamb, steak, whatever kind of meat that you want, you can afford, and make sure you get eggs. Try to go for like the free range eggs because they're a bit healthier than like the white ones, and they have just like more nutrients. Go for cheese. Go for especially butter. You're gonna need butter because you got to cook your food in butter. Like cook your eggs in butter. Just cook all your meat in butter so you up that fat intake. Because what we're aiming for is a 70-30 fat to protein ratio. So that means roughly 70% of the calories come from fat and 30% come from protein. And there's a really easy way to tell if you're doing this right. It's basically you just have to check your poop. So like if you have loose stools, you have diarrhea, that means you ate too much fat. And if your stools, you're feeling constipated, like that means, or it's just like kind of hard and shit, that means you didn't eat enough fat. So that's your body's natural way of telling you how much fat to eat, how much protein you should be consuming. And if you decide to do like a low carb keto version of this diet, which you can also do, it's not as good because of the defense compounds, but go for avocados, fruits, nuts, nut butters, and yeah, that'll give you a good amount of healthy fats. And the last major pitfall to avoid is that when you're starting out, when you're going from carbs to fat, your body it's going to have to adjust. So there's like a period, right, that I mentioned of fat adaptation. So what we want to do is we want to salt our food more than normal because our electrolytes actually go down a lot, right? And you might feel very low energy when you first get started, but that's just simply because your electrolytes bog down. So salt your food more than you normally would. And some people take like a electrolyte supplement, but it's not really like it's not a long term thing. It's not necessary. So like if you're not feeling well, you're feeling like kind of you have a headache, just eat more salt and you should be feeling better. Just understand that the longer you do it, the better you're gonna feel over time, right? The more your body is gonna get more efficient at it and the more energy you're gonna get. All right, so I know this was a long video, but we've covered absolutely everything that you need to know to be successful in your cut, to be successful in your bulk, and actually gain muscle and not fat. And if you need help with this at all, if you want one-to-one, coaching from me, you want personal help, you need help making a diet plan, you need help figuring all this out, you need help finding a workout program, or you need help with recovery, basically anything that you need for in terms of your health, diet, fitness, click the link below to join that program. It's going to give you all the information that you need. It's going to give you that one-to-one accountability to keep you consistent. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see you there. I hope this information helped, man, and I'll see you in the next one.